Talking. Yeah.
Turns out the smallest
This is the mini.
how they operate.
Talking.
We're good.
We'll call the Goshen Board of Education Monday, February the 14th, 2022, 7 p.m. regular meeting to order. Mr. Schenk, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Rivera? Here. Mrs. Gray?
Here.
Mrs. Casey?
Here.
Mr. Benteen?
Here.
Mr. Gray?
Here. I'd like to say happy Valentine's Day and a great way to spend it, right? All right, moving on to, do we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved. Second.
We have a first and a second. Are there any questions? If not, Mr. Schenk, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Rivera? Yes. Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Mrs. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Benteen?
Yes.
Mr. Gray?
Yes. This time, can we have a moment of silence? Thank you. Now we'll move on to Mr. Smith, principal of Mark Cook Elementary. Lead us in the pledge.
We have three special preschoolers with us this evening, Lincoln, Audrey, and Riley, to say our pledge. If you could all please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You did a great job. All right, we'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Mr. Smith.
Well, this evening, our full day pre-K, we are here just to give you an example of some pretty incredible stuff that happens in our classrooms. And that is not only from the academic side, but also the technology side. And I tell you, it is so impressive to see some of the abilities, oftentimes a little bit more fluent than mine, with the technology out of these little guys. It is absolutely incredible. So I am going to turn the show over to Mrs. Foster and let her walk you through a little bit of their projects, and then students will share.
Thank you. All right, so things have changed since COVID. So we've started Google Classroom. That's become a really big thing now. And it's working out really well, even at this level. And you're going to see the Google Classroom, the kids go in on, and then the first thing they do is they have a listen and watch. And they can click and it takes them right there to fiction and nonfiction. Now, this is great for remote snow days, just extra learning, and it's working. Let's go to the next slide. So then they have language arts. There's an activity with the winter words. They have 3 options. So it's building on that skill. And the parents can see where they are, and they start and they keep going. Then we have another language arts activity with rhyming, same thing, 3 options. Then it goes into math, counting snowballs, a couple options there. And then a second math activity was the sorting of the winter clothes, and then the video on hot and cold. So we try to incorporate all sorts of things in there for them. Then our winter has been a project-based one as well. So we have been studying about the coldest places on Earth, the Arctic and the Antarctic. So they've been able to go, and some of those, like the live cam for polar bears, those are kind of nice to get on. You can just watch and see what's going on. Then the next slide is who lives in the cold. So they're clicking on these pictures and then finding out which ones they kind of are interested in, and it tells them all the facts about that and what they enjoyed, which one. So then the next slide, we talked about the polar habitat. And that was an option that you could do that at home, or we're doing it in the classroom as well. The next slide is make one and then send it to me. Okay, so then on the next slide, you'll see our portrait of a graduate. That's our big thing we're talking about right now. And on the right here, I use digital tools to research, share my ideas, information to gather other information, show that I'm creative, understand choices have an impact, and responsible for completing my work are all things that they need for a good foundation when going out into the real world. So then that takes us to some pictures of the remote learning that was going on. So you can see they're working at home with some of the activities, letters, pictures. There was the winter clothes and writing, some polar bears in the diorama. And then on our next slide, it takes us to that connecting home and school. And that's where these little guys come in. So first up is Lincoln. Come on over here, Lincoln. Let's see if we can get you to talk loud. Okay, here. Lincoln, what did you do? What was your project? What was it?
The polar bear.
And tell us about your polar bear. Who's that guy down there looking at the polar bear?
Scientist.
Right. And what did you learn about the polar bear?
The scientist can just teach when he's asleep.
Yes, he does that. And how tall is that polar bear?
Almost 10 feet.
Yeah. Where's he live?
The snow.
Yeah, there you go. All right, you got that. So that was his project. So you can see he's watching the polar bear at home, and then in class we put this together and studied more on it. Then we have Audrey. Hold yours. And you can see her in this one. She's doing the counting, the math one with the snowballs. And she did.
A pup seal.
Tell us about your pup seal. What do they eat?
Fish and milk.
And the first thing they do is eat what?
Milk.
Okay. And what's going on over here?
The polar bear. And
Who's this guy?
the whale. Right. Him.
And who studies the pup seal? Scientist. There we go. So that was her project. And then we have Riley. Riley's, everybody does something a little different. Riley did the penguin diorama at home. And then in class, she made an information book on penguins. What are penguins?
They're birds, but they can't fly.
That's right. And what do they eat?
Fish.
What do they do?
They sleep in the water.
And
They cuddle up the same one.
cuddle up the same worm. That's right. And then they like to
Slide in the ice into the water.
water. Right, there we go. So she just made a book with it. So they have all these different options to do at home and then here at school. So that's it. If anybody's got any questions.
Great job. Was this a fun project? Did you like it? Did you?
They're really nervous.
They are. Guys, you did an excellent job tonight. So we have, on behalf of the Board of Education, some certificates for you. Can you hold that there? And I've got a pen, I'm gonna put it right there. Some more hands.
What do you guys think?
Thank you.
Well, welcome, excellent job. And I would just like to take a moment and thank two very special ladies. Kelly Doan on the end there, one of our assistants in the pre-K room, just does an absolutely phenomenal job assisting and working with Mrs. Foster, as well as Yvonne Chimera, who unfortunately took a little fall this weekend and couldn't be with us this evening. And finally, I'd just like to say a special thanks to Becky. We're kind of wrapping up a career here, an incredible career. And she is just, words can't describe what she does in a classroom with these young guys. It is amazing to walk into a first grade classroom, a kindergarten classroom, and then go into these pre-K classroom and see very similar activities, very engaged activities. And Mrs. Foster is, bar none, just an incredible teacher and going to be dearly missed and hard to replace. So I just want to say thank you, Becky. And Board of Education, we thank you for allowing us to share our smallest warriors with you this evening. Good job, guys.
Good
Great job.
Good job.
You want to tell us who you brought with you tonight? Says-
Oh, yeah.
Tell us who you brought with you tonight.
Who'd you bring, Lincoln?
Lincoln, who'd you bring with you?
Who came with
Did you
you?
drive yourself? Your mom and your dad?
Dad.
All right.
Audrey, who'd you bring?
My mom, my dad, and my sister.
Riley.
My mom and dad were new.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you're free to go if you, because I'm sure you got school tomorrow if you have things you need to go do, or you can stay for the rest of the meeting. It's your choice.
Thank you. Oh my God.
Thanks for coming. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for bringing up.
You too.
Maybe you can go celebrate Valentine's Day now.
Great job, guys.
I guess so.
See ya.
Thanks, Becky.
Yeah.
Take care.
You guys have a good one.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Bye, Lisa.
All right. Moving on to old business. We have any old business we need to discuss? Mr. Schenkel, anything on your end?
I'm bored.
You're old.
All right. Moving on to new business, public participation. We have anybody in the audience who would like to speak, address the board? All right.
Thank you.
We have a motion to approve financials, item B, 1 through 8.
So moved.
We have a first, we have a second.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Are there any questions? If none, Mr. Schenkel, will you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Gray,
Yes.
Mrs. Casey,
Yes.
Mr. Benteen,
Yes.
Mr. Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Moving on to 8C, personnel motions, 1 through 8. We have a motion to approve. So moved. We have a first, we have a second.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any questions? If none, Mr. Schenkel, will you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Casey,
Yes.
Mr. Benteen,
Yes.
Mr. Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Rivera,
Yes.
Mrs. Gray.
Yes.
Moving on to 8D, miscellaneous, 1 through 4. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a first, we have a second.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Are there any questions? If none, Mr. Schenkel, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Rivera,
Yes.
Mrs. Gray,
Yes.
Mrs. Casey,
Yes.
Mr. Benteen.
Yes. Let's make sure we remind them just to send them a thank you letter for all those who donated. It's greatly appreciated. Moving on to 8E, Board of Education reports. We'll start with you, Mr. Benting. You have anything?
I don't have anything from the township, but I did attend the board member 201 course Saturday.
Oh.
I've been to a lot of instructional courses. This was the best one I've ever been to. The new lady that is the new deputy lawyer for the OSBA, just phenomenal. And everything we're doing in as far as executive session and how we're running the meetings, we're doing it the way it's supposed to be done, down to the T. But I will tell you one little thing that I learned, and I've told a couple people here tonight, that there was 12 of us in the meeting, and at my table was one of the board members from Beaver Creek. And he said, we took all the chairs out of our meeting room. And I said, will you make all those people stand? He said, no. He said, we took out the chairs. We bought church pews bolted to the floor because the people got to throw in our chairs at us.
Oh,
Oh, my gosh.
And it was very interesting. I tell you, we really, we live in a palace here. And a couple of the others had some rare stories that I'd never heard of, but it was very good. They've hired a new communications man, and he's been a newsman in Marion, and he was very good. And they've hired a new lobbyist, and she was there, went through all these bills that were up in the Senate and the House. But it was very good. I enjoyed it. That's all I think.
You can get the
Appreciate
legal
your attendance.
report since I left it at work. But I did go to Great Oaks. We had our meeting last week. So they're moving right along on Live's entrance exit, as you can see it when you drive down 28. I am now on the budget committee. I just started with that. So Ben went over, there was like 2 of us that are new on the committee for the year, because we switch every year. So, or most of us do. And so he went over their budget, like in detail, in section by section, because we had like a meeting before the meeting. So it was interesting, because I know the differences between public schools and career tech schools, like as far as the budget goes, because he was very good about pointing out the differences, like how their ESSER funds come in completely different, which I know you've touched on before, but very interesting. So I probably won't have too much to say about the Oaks now that I'm on the budget committee. So it's all live for you guys.
Mrs. Gray, anything?
I did have an update, and I put it in my
I should have
Google
done that.
Drive, and now I'm having trouble finding, oh, here we go. For the Public Relations Committee, when we met, we talked about, there's an upcoming business advisory breakfast, and we're excited about that, and having, we're a little different format this year. Before, they've had it during a basketball game and an evening reception, but now they're doing it as a breakfast. Am I correct? Thursday, February 24th?
That is correct.
Yes, Thursday, February 24th, 8:30 in the morning. And a lot of people have RSVP'd. Yeah, I think we were over 100, right? Over 100, yeah. So we're really excited about that. They're kicking around some ideas for a senior citizens dinner, maybe a little bit later. Typically it happens sometime in February-ish, but looking for maybe something outdoors in the spring, or we kicked around an idea of hosting it around a musical or a play in the spring, which is
So that they can go to that?
Yeah, like dinner and
That's
a play.
a great
I know,
idea.
I know. We really like that idea.
If they want to do like an extra night of the play.
Yeah.
How fun would that be?
Yeah.
The kids would probably love that.
Yeah, so they're kicking around that idea, and really excited about that. Also, Goshen Education Foundation Scholarship is live right now, so students can apply for that, as well as the Servant's Heart Scholarship. And tonight they're recognizing our 7th and 8th grade boys basketball team and 8th grade girls basketball team, all for winning the league championships last week. So a lot of great things. Our girls also won their tournament game this past weekend, and that was an exciting win. So they play tomorrow night, 7:15 at Mason. So a lot of great things that our students are doing.
All right, thank you. Mr. Rare, anything?
I don't have anything other than it's right down here. Number 4 here, we've got our Southwest Region Spring Conference is Tuesday the 8th on the Southwest Region Board now. So, yep. And I was saying, I was going to speak about the public or the business breakfast as well. Yeah, so it's looking forward to that.
Since you're on the Southwest Region Board now, so what's for dinner?
I know they have the orange fluff.
Okay.
But other than that,
Have you guys all been up there to see Laurel since it's been done? It is so nice.
yeah, looking forward to
It
that.
is so nice.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. All right, moving on to superintendent's report. Turn it over to you, Mr. Edwards.
I can.
Right into it.
Right into it. So the first thing that we said we tracked data all year long on COVID as we made decisions and stuff, and things are looking dramatically better. And I'm going to flash through these slides really quickly. I think kind of the interesting thing will be is to read the number at the end. In September, we came in and things got bad. There were 539 cases, and things began to go down in October to 346 to 167, and those are 7-day rolling average per 100,000 people in Claremont County. So we really began to feel really good. The holidays got here, and things were spiking up, and then I think that in January, what I have to say is I'm very proud of the work that our staff and administrators put in to keep school open, because that was the Board of Education's number one goal, was to keep in-person learning open. Because things got exceptionally challenging in the month of January. We came in and here's 1-4, and we'd never seen numbers like that, 825 cases per 100,000 on that 7-day rolling average. And we came back and we were missing 22 staff members when we returned back from the holidays. And we don't really have 22 staff members just sitting around waiting. We're very appreciative of the decision that we made with having some full-time subs this year to help keep us open. And then you can see the following week, you got to 1,142. And the next weekend, it got to 2,334. And these were numbers we didn't even dream of ever having. And maxing out at about 58 staff members during that week absent, due to COVID only. So if there were pregnant people, if somebody had a stomach ache, if somebody had a doctor's appointment for a knee problem, somebody had shoulder surgery, none of that stuff is in there. But as you can see, the good news is the cases are going down. And I think that's the latest number. They didn't release this week's number. Back to where we were, sometime in the fall. And we continue to hope that we can just continue to go those same directions. That was in December when we sat here. And then in January, we had 326 positive cases for students. And then in the month of January, we had 208 students and 61 staff members test positive for COVID. And we had to do all the contact tracing and all those pieces. Thank heavens, we no longer have to do the contact tracing with the changing requirements of the state. But I do have to express my appreciation to our staff and the people like Karen Garrett, Megan Brock, our school nurses who did just workmen's jobs, and our principals. Because all the other work was still there. They just had these burdens to do on themselves and cover for each other. So things are really looking good, and attendance-wise, it's really looking good. You can see the worst time was the beginning of January. We were sitting about 83% attendance, and then last week was great, 93.9% attendance. And I stick this up there for a reason. I think we have to understand the fact that being at school is important, and when you have a 10% difference in attendance, that's 292 students. So 292 kids or a day are now here that weren't here in this first 3 weeks of January. Which, again, it continues our priorities to keep it here and in person. We've implemented the new quarantine guidelines and no longer contact tracing. We've implemented and communicated also staff and parents. I do want to point out this number, because this is one of the challenges that we have faced with our ESSER academic plan, where we have put a lot of money, and I know that's probably difficult to see, but we have done, we've spent a lot of money on intervention of kids because of missing that 1/4 of a school year 2 years ago, and then so many kids missing remote learning. The two bars on your left are 2019 through March 10th. When we went out with the pandemic, and there were 18,800 some absences. And then the red bar in the middle is last school year. The red bar are COVID absences and total absences for the school year. So 3/4 of a school year versus a full one. We went to about 35,000 absences.
When this was run at the beginning of February, we've already had almost 31,000 absences this year, and more COVID cases and absences than we had all of last year. And that just puts an emphasis on the importance of the intervention programs that we have for kids, the Title I reading programs that we have reinstated and put full force, math intervention program at Spalding, all the tutoring programs at the middle school and high school, of which many of these stopped in January too, because we were using everybody we had to keep classes open. But when we look at how we're spending our ESSER funds next year too, that this is still going to be a priority, because catching kids up from the gaps that they developed over these past 2 years is still going to be going on. And quite frankly, when everybody in the state takes these tests in the spring, because the state still thinks necessarily that we take all those tests in the spring, it's not going to look like 2019 still. We're closing gaps faster than everybody in the state. Our staff's doing a wonderful job. We've got great intervention programs, but we're still going to face that challenge right there as we choose how we spend money this spring. When we talk about it in our retreat, we'll give you guys a plan with those things again. And, we'll still have those, areas that are going to be critical to continue catching kids up. Still going to do our summer school program again next year. We've already made that decision last month when we posted a position, but still got a lot of catch up to do. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, is here. So do we have any questions on that before I move on?
The ESSER funds, those are through when? 2000?
The last one's through September of 23.
Yeah.
So we've got rest of this school year and then next.
Is there any talk of a fourth?
I haven't heard that from anyone.
I mean, because they already said what everybody was getting before this last onslaught of Omicron or whatever it was, so I just didn't know, we took it out quite a few months longer than they expected, I'm sure.
And I have not heard anything either. One thing we hope to be able to see in that fall is an increase in our state funding formula.
Okay.
Because when they put in the new state funding formula, they didn't fully fund it for the first 2 years because we had ESSER dollars.
Okay.
So we're hoping to see an increase. They said, well, you guys who've got received large amounts of ESSER dollars don't need additional funding from the state. So that's also the importance of when we talk to our lawmakers, in the conversations that we have and the lobbying that we do, they fully fund the formula.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting too, because, everyone got a lot of ESSER dollars, and are they going to give you dollar for dollar? You know what I mean? Because we went out and Mr. Edwards was saying, we've got additional nursing, we've got additional mental health. We've hired a lot to help out with this. Well, if we don't get the funds, what are we going to do with those type of programs, down the road? And, that's just decisions we'll have to make, but it's pretty key because it's been such a, large sum of money that we've got. So close to $4 million. Well, that's a lot of money, just something we'll have to look at and see. So hopefully we will get more.
And we've spent a lot that it will have a lasting impact too, besides on the personnel. The laptops, the changes in the HVAC system, things that'll be with us for a while, the modulars and Spalding. So some of those things. So that's it for that piece. Goals update. We have, I've got about 4 or 5 bullets under each area I want to share with you. The first 2 bullets underneath of high quality instructions target area have got to do with building principals, tracking learning data, meeting with their teachers on a regular basis with that to prepare students, close gaps and prepare students for their assessments that they're coming up here in April and May. And I talked a little bit about early projections have us doing well, but not quite pre-COVID yet, because we still have a lot of gaps to be closing. We also met with principals, district administration on their mid-year goals, goal meetings where we sat down with them to see how we're progressing towards the goals that they have that are based upon the board's target areas and portrait of a graduate and what type of support is needed there. Under high quality instruction, I'd like to congratulate several Goshen high school students whose work under the 3rd bullet to be recognized by young writers an anthology entrance in the Unsolved contest. I had to write a 100-word mystery. We have Raylan Christopher, Octavia Kelch, Timmy Voto, Chloe Cooper, Skylar Sexton, Mia Thomas, and Savannah McCord were all recognized and will be published authors. We love that. And then under the last bullet, under high quality instruction, we're excited that Mrs. Scherzinger applied and got an additional $43,000 underneath the Striving Readers Grant, which will be spent in two areas. One is with our high school social studies and language arts teachers for something that's called professional development, something that's called text sets, which is using literature and writing, not necessarily literature, but fiction, nonfiction to increase learning in their subject areas. And each one of them gets to spend $800 at the Barnes and Noble on their professional development day, helping build their libraries up for the classroom.
You ever been to Barnes and Noble with a GMS or JHS literacy teacher?
You don't think she'll have any problem spending
Oh, no.
that much?
I went with Shannon Hill
Yeah,
once and it was
yes.
an experience.
Yes.
Yes.
So, but
Don't
it's,
walk out empty-handed.
well, and it's exciting that they've got grant monies that they'll be able
Oh,
to spend
yeah.
that for.
And that will go far.
Yes, that's
They
right.
each get $800?
Yes.
Wow.
We're also, it's to provide Orton Gillingham training for our high school intervention specialists. So this, the dyslexia bill that was just passed last year requires all intervention specialists be trained in an approved dyslexia program. So we're going to make it easy for them and be able to do it during the summer. And this grant would allow them to get a stipend for doing that too as well on their own time. So couple things under early literacy. First bullet, Serenity Smith and Taylor Smiley, congratulations on winning the middle school spelling bee. Preschool and kindergarten registration has begun for next year. And I do want to point out and thank Shipley Energy for having a supporting that billboard. If you've noticed, we actually have two billboards down there because they left the holiday one up. They didn't, but whoever put it up.
It's on.
So it's okay. It looks like we have back-to-back billboards there. So, you can see that the next to, not the last bullet in that section, but the other two above it, the second and third grade, the LA teachers have been doing some work with fall third grade reading tests, where they got the second grade teachers got to see how their kids fared 5 months later after they left them, and to discuss how their instruction was impacted by that. And then also our second grade teachers got a chance to sit down with our third grade teachers. Also, they're going to be visiting third grade classrooms too as well, because one of the struggles in education is when you divide things by building is having the teachers work alongside of each other outside of the building. So we're going to make some time to be able to do that this spring. So under the college and career readiness, all two bullets. Mark Edwards is doing a great job with the high school counselors of offering information to our parents, and I'm going to continue to plug the stuff that he does. He sent out Friday a parent email. We've got, we hosted our College Credit Plus night, explaining to parents the advantages of taking advantage of that here on our campus. He also hosted a 529 college saving plan night, which would be fantastic for every parent K-12 to listen to, be thinking about the future and a way of saving for that. He also hosted the high school scheduling night, a first chunk of that, and then I think he's doing middle school Tuesday scheduling night. And what he does is he's doing it live, he's videoing it and allowing an opportunity for Google Meet, and then he's sending it back out to parents. So we're trying to get, people are busy. So if we can just hit them every single way we can. This is one thing we've learned from the pandemic that actually turned out to be a very, very nice tool, because you get hundreds of views, but you may only have 7 people in the room.
Right.
So it's kind of nice. And he's expanding his touchdown into Mark Cook with My First Career Lessons. They piloted them in the preschool, and they're going to be going out from there, getting the kids just a little bit exposure and thinking about it at our youngest ages. So him and Mrs. Durazzi are working on that together. And I'm going to skip through the next two and down to student development. And, I've got all these handwritten notes here. This great things happened this weekend. I thank Mrs. Gray for sitting with me through a whole lot of sporting events this weekend and updating us on a lot of those. I also want to point out GHS Winter Guard doing fantastic at second in their most recent competition. our Hope Squad, 3 members get to attend to a leadership conference courtesy of the Education Foundation sponsoring them. And last but not least, the band and choir is having a great time at Disney performing down there. And our 8th and 9th graders who families want them to participate in the DC trip will be participating in March. And we've worked with every one of those families so that we follow the requirements of the local communities that they're going to, and for the COVID safety pieces that they have to do. We held informational meetings live. Not other than worries by parents about whether it's going to be safe or not. We've not, our sponsors have done a great job of handling it. Mr. Rowe's done a wonderful job. So they're having fun too. If you've been able to track them on Facebook, if you haven't, take a peek. So,
Mr. Edwards, I did forget to mention too, we had 2 GMS wrestlers make it to state.
yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yes. So lots of stuff happening in the sports world too, wasn't there?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Up where it speaks of the dyslexia bill, now it says it's going to be paying for intervention specialists in grades 6 through 12. How about the younger grades? How do they do this?
Well, I got to tell you, the grant specifically that she applied for would allow her to do that. Secondly, a lot of our teachers down there have that Gillingham training already.
Okay.
In fact, they may all have that. I'm not 100% sure of that one, but they'll have to be trained too if they're not. So there's lots of other requirements that have come into that with assessment and stuff. They've got a draft and model guidebooks that have come out, but because everybody's going to have to be screened for dyslexia at an early age. So
Okay, good.
So, okay, thank you. So facilities work session, February 22nd at 6. I just want to be clear that this is what we all agreed that we want to have brought back. Is the first 2 bullets, bringing back the requested information from Elevar, which I do not have any of that information yet, obviously, because the meeting's not until the 22nd. Bringing back, and I'll talk about this in a minute, the parent-staff thought exchange information, because we talked about grabbing some initial thoughts from our parents and our staff members. And we talked about a tool that is known as Thought Exchange. I sent you guys the information on it. It's a video. And I hope everybody's had an opportunity to watch that. So essentially, it's a way of offering folks to be able to submit what their thoughts are on a thought question. And then they also get to see other people's anonymously, of course. They get to see their thoughts because it may not have been something they thought of and how much they think that's important. So the introduction statement that we have in here, and it's not gone out yet, it's going to go out tomorrow. And I just want to make sure that we're capturing the things that you guys think. Which is basically there's an introduction as we plan to meet the challenge of increased student enrollment due to the housing growth in Goshen Township. We'd like feedback and insight from our school community as we plan the continued need for space while ensuring that every student graduates with the skills and experiences they need to succeed. Please review the attached enrollment projection. We're going to have a chart and provide your thoughts and rate at least 20 to 30 of the thoughts that others have shared. Because they'll see the video, it's sent to them, and they can see the video. We've already sent it out to our parents and our staff members. Your participation is confidential, so no one will know who shared or rated which thoughts. Come back often to rate these new ideas. And then the question would be, what are some things you would most like to see in the planning of our facilities in order to support the success of our students? And that would go out tomorrow to both parties. So that's kind of what we talked about, one big one, and let them share their thoughts. So we'll get those back, and it'll actually come to us in all kinds of charts and graphs, and you guys will be able to see the information. I'll send that to you back prior to that meeting. Sound good?
Mhm.
Good. And then the last thing Mr. Schenkel added to our agenda was underwriter and financial information to be able to answer any questions. You're gonna have Heather there.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys would like, I mean, Heather is kind of like our underwriter. She will take all the information from Bellamar as far as like the building and kind of the little thing they talk about, if you turn it upside down, what falls out, what you can or can't do. And I figured it would just be kind of nice to have her there because she could run the information on a 20-year bond, a 30-year bond, a 40-year bond, 40 million, 50 million, you know, and really calculate the millages and stuff. They have all these little spreadsheets and what's allowable. And I figure if in the event we got into the weeds, I mean, she'll give a 50,000-foot view probably of everything, but then if you guys have more specific questions, she could punch it in and kind of give us an idea of what we're looking at on any of the options. If you guys are fine with that. I mean, I don't.
Yeah. That's fine.
And that would be the agenda. That'd be it, so. Good discussion at that point forward, so. Great. Okay. Now I have to go backwards on this. So, Mr. Herrera mentioned Southwest region. We do need to respond back with RSVPs on that, correct, Mr. Schenker? We've not done that yet, so. Does anybody here know that you want to go and you want to respond yes? You want to check your calendars and call me or Todd tomorrow?
I'm
What would
good.
you like to do?
Oh, I'm good.
I'll be there.
I should be,
You want
just depend, yeah.
Trust but verify? Okay.
Depends on work, we've got a lot.
Okay.
I should be there.
Bill?
Yes.
And we don't have to get this on the calendar, but if we do our annual retreat in April, we may want to get this on the calendar. We can put this on the calendar in March. We talked a little bit about typically we've done one in April on a Saturday morning. We can do that. We can do a weekday too as well. And which one would you like to, would you rather look at a Saturday or would you rather look at an evening?
I'm pretty open. John?
Yeah.
Oh, do you think we could get it done in an evening?
I don't
Maybe 3
know.
hours probably at least.
Could be the long evening.
Don't want to start before 6.
Right.
I know Dad don't have anything going on, so she's probably really okay.
We have your schedule. We have your
I'll make it work.
Do you,
Morning, Saturday morning, you prefer evening? Doesn't matter?
I mean, we can go as early as you want to on a Saturday.
I mean, not the last week in April.
Well, I can tell you, I mean, we did think about maybe April 9th would be a good time, just on all kinds of timelines and stuff. If we were wanting to do anything with facilities, you could include a piece of that there, because that would still allow you time before our board meeting to have that discussion. I don't know how that looks on calendars. I know April 16th is Easter weekend.
So possibly April 9th, is that what you said?
And the 9th is a Saturday.
It is a Saturday.
I mean, we can start at 4 a.m. if that helps you out there.
It doesn't help Bill out.
I actually have a event that Friday evening for work, but Saturday morning should work. I just have to be gone by about 4 because I have another event for work that Saturday evening.
You can start as early as you wanted to. I mean,
Always something.
7, 8. Can't remember, we're in the school business. We start early, so it's like,
Same here.
Yeah, I'm fine with that morning.
Bill, you good? The 9th sounds good?
8,
8 o'clock.
I like 8, don't like 7.
You start early at work too, but Saturday,
Yeah, I know.
you want to get that 1 hour beauty sleep, right? Okay. Mr. Schenkel, you want to talk about audit finance?
Yeah, I'm just writing this out. So April 9th at 8 to 12 then, tentatively. Okay, on audit finance, we just got our report back for fiscal year 20. We're fortunate enough, again, with another clean report. We didn't have any management recommendations or anything, so we'll probably get our little certificate, for the clean report. But I did want to set something up, and then if you guys, you know, we were kind of talking, we have Melissa from LCMD, and other than that, we don't have, I mean, like, everyone else, like Mary Gray was on it at one time, and
Ed retired
Meyer
from
was
BP
on it.
last year.
yeah, so we've had a few people get off. So if you know or think of anyone that you'd like to put on the audit finance committee, I mean, just let me know. I'll call them, or if you want to ask them or whatever, just let me know. And then just would like to try to schedule something. And I really didn't pick a date because I didn't know if we wanted to see what comes out of the facilities meetings and that sort of thing, to try to get an idea of what we're looking at on down the road as far as cost. I mean, the audit side's pretty easy. We'll just quick review of the report, but you know, like, what are we looking at finance wise? Looking at our 5-year forecast, because I mean, that the new funding, since Julie sit in, I mean, the new funding kicked in January of this year. It's a whole new, I mean, it's all new for everyone. So everyone's really trying to learn it, and I'll hold my hand up, myself included. I mean, it's very cumbersome process to go through this thing, but it would just be nice to kind of look at, you know, if we do add on or if we build, what are those true costs going to be, you know, to put that stuff down there. And I'd like to hopefully get into that if we get on down the road. You guys have any thoughts on that? Or?
When you want to do it.
Again, I didn't really pick anything because I didn't know what was going to be doing for like with how we're doing with facilities, or if you guys wanted to have it before the retreat or just wait and take everything after the retreat, kind of throw it all in the mix. It's just like,
Do it after the retreat.
Huh?
Do it after the retreat.
After the April retreat?
Yeah. I mean,
okay,
Is that too late for you?
no, that would be fine.
When you get the final report back?
It just came back like last week for the audit report. Yeah. So if you want, you maybe think of some people we'll see, and that'll give us time to ask them and shoot for sometime in April, then after the retreat. Would that work?
And Todd and I have talked about some people that we thought might be a nice fit for that. But if you have some other people in mind of people that you think might be a nice fit for the finance committee, a parent, local business person, either one. Retiree.
we could set that date at the next meeting.
Mm-hmm. So anytime, I'd say like after the, you know, we got the regular board meeting April 11th. So anything after that, whatever you think would be good, we'll shoot for a date in there.
Okay.
Just check your calendars out. We'll converse later on that. Unless you guys want to scratch one in now just for.
It's just John and John.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty open, so. What are you thinking, like 5, 6 o'clock, something like that?
That's all right.
April 11th, 12th, 13th, somewhere in
Well, we
there.
can't do the 11th, that's a board
Board
meeting,
meeting,
but
so,
we'll do like Wednesday, 13th.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's Wednesday's better.
Okay. We'll just put that down. We'll just put that down at, say, 6 o'clock on the 13th.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, as long as it's 6. I have a GEF meeting at 7.
We'll fly right through it. All right.
Yeah, check with Melissa and see what works for her, I guess.
Yeah.
She usually attends, so.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks on that.
That's it that I have. Unless you guys have anything else.
No other?
All right, moving on to item 7. Anybody have anything else under other that we need to talk about board member wise? All right. All right, well, I guess we'll move on to executive session. It's 7:48. Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Going to executive session for, let's see here, the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of public employees or regulated individuals, or for the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee or regulated individual unless such person requests a public hearing. This is per Ohio Revised Code 121.22. Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
We have a first, a second? First, a second. Any questions? No, Mr. Schenk, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Herrera?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Mrs. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Benteen?
Yes.
Mr. Gray?
Yes. Going to executive session at 7:49 and we'll come back with no action.
So for anybody that's maybe watching, there is no action that we're taking.
Right.
So, we'll just come back and adjourn.
Yep. All right,